Flosstube! Welcome to my channel. I'm Jessie and this is Bobo Stitch and Quilt, a channel primarily about cross stitching, sometimes a quilt or two, and today a little bit of crocheting. How are y'all doing? Today is Sunday morning. I'm filming this in the morning on Sunday, January 10th outside of the greater Houston area. Winter has arrived here for us today. For those of you who live in places that snow and things like that, you're going to kind of giggle at how funny Texans are, or at least southern Texans are, because we don't get snow or anything like that on any kind of regular basis. And so we had a wintry mix arrive. And so I'm far south enough that we just have cold rain. So we did not wake up to any kind of white things on the ground, and really it's kind of funny if you see the pictures of the areas and that did get snow. It's not really right, but it's so exciting for those of us who don't get it very often. And so yeah. So that's where it is. I went to college outside of Boston, and so I've been around snow. Frankly, that's not my weather choice. So it's I picked my college for the college, so, or my university for university, so let's not, so I don't want to make it sound like, but I had intentionally looked at universities that were north of Texas, and specifically because I was like, oh, I'd like to have some seasons and everything, and because Texas, it's like hot and hotter, right? Like every once in a while a random cold day. I loved autumn. Autumn in the north was beautiful. The trees changing, the colors, and it is worth living there for that alone. And but winter I could do without. Like, I found that to be way overrated. I felt like once it got cold, I never stopped being cold. Like, it got in my bones, and I just, not having lived there, like, I just never knew how to get rid of the chill. So, anyways. So probably came back to Texas, went to law school, and have been here pretty much ever since. Anyways, brief history of my opinions on weather. What else is going on? Some life updates that impact my stitching. It's been busy for me at work, so we have a very busy time of year because I work for a nonprofit and there's funding associated with it. There's always year-end work related to that, right? It's actually something that happens throughout the year, but there is like a year component to it that requires a lot of, you have a deadline to meet things. And COVID, I'm going to say COVID, resulted in, and there was a couple of other hiccups, but put us a little bit behind. So although it's always busy at this time of year because of the year-end deadline to finish everything, we're just a little bit busier because of having gotten behind just a little bit because of COVID. So it's been busy. I've been working a lot. I had 2 days where I worked like a normal, like 8 to 9 hour day, and then I had 2 days where I worked like 1 a.m. and I took a break in the evenings, but I worked till like 1 a.m. and that turned out to be like a mistake because I must have pushed myself a little bit too hard because I got sick on Friday, and although I was functional, like I was able to get through my work day for the most part, I did not feel good, and I probably was not as efficient as I could have been. And while I have to work this weekend, and I plan on splitting what I had to do between the Saturday and the Sunday so I didn't have to work like a long time on either day, I ended up feeling terrible yesterday and had to sleep most of the day, and it was not good. So I've been monitoring my symptoms though to make sure that it's not COVID. I've been checking my temperature. I have constant allergies, so it's always hard to know how much respiratory, so I'm looking for changes in my respiratory conditions, and there's been no changes in that front. So it's just so far seems to be like my body is trying to stop a migraine, if that makes sense. Like it's doing, like I feel like my head hurts and it feels like it's trying to have a migraine. Anyways, y'all don't really need, that's probably TMI about like my health, but it's, but in terms of the work schedule, there was definitely a couple of days where the goal for stitching was to get a strand of thread into the project, because Kim Hollaback, from Full Coverage Fanatics, she's the admin there, which, by the way, if you do full coverage, that is the Facebook group that I belong to. I belong to a couple of other ones too, but that's the one that I've picked to do the challenges. And this is nothing against any other Facebook groups or anything along that lines. It's just me just literally looking at the types of challenges that each group is doing and whether or not I think my personality and the way that I approach my goals and things would work with those goals. But so I'm in Full Coverage Fanatics, and Kim Hollaback is one of the admins, and I completely forgot what I was talking about. Right. Super just ADD there. It'll come back to me. Anyways, but what was I talking about? See, I'm not fully recovered. Oh shoot, you don't need to see or watch me think. Anyways, but if you're interested in Full Coverage Fanatics, I'll put the link below. You do have to answer the questions in order to be able to join. I will try to remember what I was talking about where I brought up Kim. So sorry. I don't remember. Anyways, all right. We'll just move straight on into stitching. Oh, I remember what I was saying. I did put a strand in every day because Kim Hollaback, in her year-end video, she talked about how she had now finished day 2 of stitching every single day. And I thought, well, that's a very interesting goal. Not one I'm going to like push myself on, right? But I thought that was a very interesting goal. And I'm like, and that ensures that you meet some of your goals, right? Like if you always do something, at least one thing every single day, like, right? And so I remembered her talking about how she stitched every day, and I did do that in 2020. Even after we came home, I didn't stitch every day. And so I was like, that's an interesting goal. So I kind of made that like a weird goal, like just not like a real goal, but like, let me stitch something every single day. Even when I'm on vacation, I'll take, even, or whatever. So this week, even though I wasn't feeling well, I was really busy at work, I was like, one strand, let's just put in one strand. And so that kind of impacts the progress that I made. So with that, let's get to it. Hope everyone's doing well, by the way. It's been weird here in the U.S. Yeah. I saw a meme. Oh, by the way, I woke up yesterday to a fraud alert on my debit card. Thankfully, my bank declined one of the transactions, so and there's only one that had to get disputed, so that wasn't a big deal. But it's which is good because I don't have tons to worry about. But on the other hand, it was not the card. And by the way, I had made like purchases like to Fat Quarter Shop and some, and my family got together yesterday. We basically met in a parking lot and did a gift exchange, a gift handoff, and and so I had intentionally waited to purchase things that had to get shipped to them because we bought them some food items, and so I didn't want to I wanted to wait until we had our gift exchange to ship it to them. So I ordered everything on Friday so that it got shipped and it would arrive this week. And so I was like, please let those payments go through. Do not reject those payments. I need the gifts to get sent. I need I need my order from the Fat Quarter Shop to send. So, but it was kind of like a joke. There's a meme that I saw that someone was like, that after everything in the Capitol, it was like, I would like to return in 2021. I've tried the 7-day trial period. I'm not impressed. So I don't know if I feel that way. There's a lot left of 2021, so many reasons to be cautiously optimistic that it is going to still be better than 2020. Anyway, so with that, let's get going. So I worked on 5 projects since the last time that you saw me, and I kept mostly to the rotation. So since I recorded last, I had mentioned that I was going to have a new start for Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery Happily Ever After, and and what I did was that I had one new start in 2020. And so I ended up working on the banner part of Happily Ever After, and I finished this on New Year's Eve. So, so I thought that was, it's not a finish, but it's definitely a part done. So yay. This is on my whipco board for 2021, so I will work on it throughout the year. But my plans to try to get this one done by the end of this year is that there's 12 stories, if you're not familiar, but I posted the picture. There's 12 fairy tales or storybooks or whatever, and my goal is to do one a month. And if I get caught behind or anything like that, then when it gets called on the WhipGo, that's when I'll catch up on that, or I'll get ahead if I'm already still caught up. And so that gives me a little bit of wiggle room. It has always, I love working on frosted pumpkin patterns. They're easy to stitch. It's like, you know, we were watching Bridgerton's, the series on Netflix when I was stitching on this, and so I could watch the show and stitch at the same time and not feel like I was losing anything. So anyway, so here that is. What am I doing this? What's this fabric? Oh, here it is. This, I'm doing this 2/2. I purchased the kit from Frosted Pumpkin, so this is all kitted up by them. This is on 28 count casual linen crystal helix by Picture Disc Plus, and I'm doing 2/2 with the called for DMC. All right, here you go. I'm just gonna plop things on the floor. That's what's gonna happen. All right. I have my trusted planner. Here's my post-it notes of floss that I had to purchase. So I'm going to refer to this as I need to. So let me get to my project pages, so that way I'm prepared. Look at me not being prepared for today. What happens when you don't feel good? All right. So what else? I guess I'll go in order of what I worked on. Then New Year's Day arrived, and I wanted to have a New Year start, and I felt like what better thing to start than with Lindy Stitch's Funky Menagerie. I find her animals to be super cute, and I love her patterns. And you know, see, this is the reason why I could never have done no new starts, right? So even though the part one came out on New Year's Eve, so I could have technically gotten it in, and it would have been part of no new starts. I'm gonna talk about my haul later on. I was gonna fail no new starts no matter what, right? And so it's fine. Remember, even though I have all these plans, I totally belong to the school of do what you want. So, Stitch M, I think that's the name of her Flosstube. If you don't watch her, I would recommend that you watch her. She doesn't film frequently, which is sad for me, you know, because I find her to be very funny and I like her. She's in Britain, and she actually has a hashtag, which I think it's like Salwall or something like that, which is like stitch what you want when you want. It's like, it is what it stands for. So SWY swooey or something like that. So anyways, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty much what it is, right? Like, I make the rotation plans and everything like that because I'm progress oriented and I want to move through things, and you know, I'm goal oriented, and so doing that is actually me stitching what I want, right? So, but I kind of was like, since I follow the school of thought of do what you want when you want, that works for me. So anyway, so my New Year start is Funky Menagerie, and here's where I got to on day one. I finished everything but the flamingo. I did end up doing the flamingo. I worked on that one day. I can't remember what day it was, but I worked on it one day just to finish the flamingo. And so that's where I got. Not very far. My plan is to keep up with the South. So I will hopefully not get too far behind on this. It does seem to be able to be stitchable in the amount of time that it is doable, right? I worked on this, I'm sorry, I was flipping, for 6 hours. That's not a lot of stitching in 6 hours. I must have been doing other things. We must have been watching things or something, because that's slow. I feel like that's slow. Anyways, so I am doing this on 32 count flax linen. I think it's Weigart. I think it's Weigart. It's all folded up. I can't see. I purchased it from Lindy Stitches herself, and I'm doing this 2/2 with the called for DMC. All right, so there you go. As always, it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it, and I really kind of want to work on it. But isn't that the thing? You always want to work on everything you got, right? So next up was that we did have a game to go to with the Houston Texans, and so I always take a piece that I can stitch on while we were there, and so I worked again on polar bears, Endangered Young Uns, and that is by designs by Pat and Gloria, and kitted up by Janlynn, and this is where we got to. So basically I was filling in the white on the second polar bear. So that's as far as I got, and which is still pretty far. And you know, as always, this is cute. This is a kit. So this is on 14 count Aida, called for DMC. And I don't know when I'm going to come back to this one over the course of the year. I may roll it into my seasonal stitching, but it's not my favorite thing in the world to work on. So it might not come back out until the games come back in the fall, where I take it with me back to the games. So, but we'll see. We'll never know, right? See what strikes my fancy when it strikes my fancy. And but yeah, so there you go. So polar bears is another one that I got to work on. I don't count my stitches or anything on this one, just filling in blobs. Because basically what I do, if you haven't watched me before, is that I kind of stitch in between plays, commercial breaks, timeouts, halftime, before the game. Like, that's usually when I'm stitching. And but so I do a lot of like weird, like, as they're relining up, I get like 2 stitches in. And then like we watch the plays, they were relining up. So it's it works. I obviously get stuff done. All right. So next is my Whip Go project. So you're like, you have all these plans, Jessie, and so far you haven't shown a single thing about your plan. That is true. So Whip Go this month, Jessie Marie called the numbers 6, 13, and 18, I believe their numbers one. But either way, for my purposes, those projects were Seize the Day by Caterpillar and the Sing a Sampler by Silver Creek Samplers. Here's the sad news. While I would love to be working on Seize the Day, I cannot, because I have not received my fabric yet. And again, you know, I am being very, very patient about the fabric. So I had ordered quite a bit of fabric from Hanging Threads when they were having their annual Christmas in July Pictured as Plus fabric. And I was like, all right, let me go ahead and purchase for the various projects I had, and that included Seize the Day. And then of course, you know, there's delays in production, so I was like, that's fine. I'm not planning on working on it anytime soon. I'll get it when I get it, and I'll start working on it. And then I can't remember what it was, but I want to say end of October or something like that. I got an email, which I'm sure many of you did too, that said that the production has been delayed even longer, and that if we wanted to substitute, we could. And I was like, fantastic. I had actually purchased some additional products then, patterns, and I was like, let me go ahead and readjust everything, because when I purchased in July, I was kind of assuming things, right? Like I was assuming I was going to need certain colors, and you know, I was just buying kind of what I liked. And whereas by the time I had gotten that email, I had actually made a lot of pattern purchases. I'm like, let me go ahead and readjust to get it for the patterns I'm definitely working on in 2021. And I'm still just waiting for them. And I know everyone is behind in their productions and everything, and you know, it is what it is, but it's at the same time, it's gonna go. So that's my long way of saying I did not start on Seize the Day, even though it was called on my Whip Go board. So my plan for that is to catch up. Some point in time in the year, I'm going to catch up. I'll add it as a week in my rotation to get that additional 10 hours in on that. And so that means I worked on Sing a Sampler. I keep wanting to say Sing a Song. Sing a Sampler by Silver Creek Samplers. And I am going to be doing a version of Jan Hicks' conversion. And so that should be the version that I showed in the finished product. So this is where I got to. So this is my start. It's a new start on Sing a Sampler. I worked on this in total for about 6.8 hours. Because again, one strand, nights and everything like that. I don't know if anyone... So I'm using Jan Hicks's conversions, and she kind of started it based on Jennifer Dinkley? I hope I'm saying that right. Dinkla? Using her inspiration. And so now the thing is that not all of Jan Hicks colors were available either to purchase, nor did I have that in stock. And so what I basically did is that what I really liked about the conversions, Jennifer and Jan's, is how bright they were. And this is nothing against the original called for colors, but I found them to be very muted. And I remember seeing the pattern originally and not being inspired by it, but then when I saw Jan Hicks showed her what her plans were based on Jennifer's work, I was like, I love that. I really did like how bright the colors were. So that's what I did. And so I went ahead and did. And my expectation, and I also like the consistency of, there's a consistency across the board. So so all of the do, the re, mi are going to be in those brighter colors. All of the internal words of the song, a deer, ray, a drop of golden sun, like those are all going to be the same color as well throughout the whole piece. And then everything else in the actual design, I am going to use, when I can, the called for colors. And because I'm just like, I'm not that creative, and I didn't have a problem with the colors in the piece itself. I just wanted the blocks to be brighter. And so, and if I couldn't find the and if I couldn't find it, or I didn't have it in my stash, and when I say I couldn't find it, I'm not a person who goes shops like 5 different stores. Like, I pick a store. If it's in stock, it's in stock. If it's not in stock, it's not in stock, and I do a conversion. That's basically how I do things. I'm not, there are plenty of people who are happy to go hunting for all the different pieces and everything like that. And for me, that was not my preference. I don't want to do that. And so I tried not to. And so in this particular case, if the store didn't have it in stock, I just converted it to a DMC. And so, so there we are. I spent a lot, so really happy with this. Here's the thing, y'all. I need opinions. I'm going to scan this closer onto that ray. Do y'all see it? Do you see it? I'm one thread off on the ray, on the R in the ray. The E is fine, but I'm one thread off. You can see it right here between the R and the E. What do I do with that? Here's the thing, y'all. If this was for me, I just leave it. Who cares? I'm the only one who would probably realize it, right? It's not. It's a gift. And I don't think the person I'm giving this to watches my videos, so it's not going to be a surprise to her. But this is a gift. And because it's a gift, I'm feeling kind of like, do I fix it? Do I not fix it? Would she even notice? But then do I feel bad that I gave her a flawed product? What would you do? Help me solve my dilemma. Do you fix it? Do you not fix it? I got enough. I'm pretty sure I have enough floss if I'm not able to reuse any of that. Because it's, fancy floss, so it might break when I'm rocking it. Let me know. Anyways, I'm doing this 2/2, 36 count, Edinburgh linen, Heartland by Picture This Plus. Oh, the other thing is I'm also not going to do a block. I'm going to do straight across, and because I did actually prefer the look of that as opposed to the block. So when I get to Fa, I am going to try to do the conversion to redesign it to have Maria be the one running, the way that Jennifer did. I'm going to just basically take her picture and just try to regraph it myself. we'll see how that goes. Anyways, I usually do 1/2 on the 36. It's pretty thick. There's definitely parts of it where it feels crowded. I like the look of the coverage though. I feel like it's rich and there's depth to it, but it does feel crowded when I'm stitching it, which is why I think I'm gonna end up having some breakage when I frog out the R. If I frog out the R. Poll, let me know. One more piece, and then we got some haul. Yeah, you saw it. Guess what's back? Cinderella Wishes Upon a Dream. It is a kit from MCG Textiles. It is out of print, unfortunately, although you still can find it on eBay and Etsy vintage shops. It is full coverage on 18 count Aida using two strands. And I'm going to go ahead. I think hopefully I inserted a picture of what it looked like when it's going to be done. I'm going to go ahead and insert a picture here of what it looked like the last time that you saw it, which would have been, well, 2 weeks ago with my with my whip parade. But last time I worked on it was probably in September. So this is where we are. So basically, you can't really tell the difference, but what I did was I started to fill in the rest of the column, and so my intention is basically to go column by column. So, you know, I don't do a column of 10, I usually do a column of 20 or 30, and usually it's 20, and I bleed over. It's my weird modified cross country is kind of how I do things, so that's where I go. I did the color blocks first, and then I will go back in to do the confetti and the back stitching. My goal each month is 1,750 stitches. That is to do the 21 and 21 full coverage fanatics challenge, and I am currently at 600. Let's just call it 600. I've gotten to 600. I had hoped to be able to work on this exclusively today for a few hours, but again, as I mentioned earlier today, I gotta go work a little bit, so I don't know how much time I'm gonna be able to put into this. But my husband is gonna be watching all of the playoff games today. I don't care so much about the two of those games, but I like an underdog, and I've been, you know, like covertly like rooting for the Browns for a few years because kind of an underdog, and they're in the playoffs, y'all. What? And they're playing tonight, so I'm gonna probably watch the game tonight with my husband, who watches all the playoffs game. Like, he's a big football fan. I have always been like a go sports kind of person, like go local team, you know. But my husband's really into sports, and you know, sometimes you just gotta go get interested in the same things that your spouse is interested in, right? Because that's what spouses do. So, anyways. Welcome back, Cinderella. There is Rosia from Kokohama Stitchery, and I can't remember who else it was, launched a Thomas Kincaid stitch along last year, which is Once Upon a TK Stitch. I think that's it. I don't think there's a Sal after that. I think it's Once Upon a TK Stitch. Join us at any time if you're working on any of the Thomas Kincaid projects. Let us know. Put in the hashtag. Love to see the work. All right. So there we are. And that's it in my cross stitching. I mean, 5 projects is a lot in 2 weeks, right? I feel like it is. A little over 2 weeks. So let's talk about haul. I have some Christmas haul that is stitchy related, but not fully. I am surprised. I did put patterns and things like that on my wish list, and none of my family members got me one, which I thought was very surprising. And I get that. I suspect that some of it is that they don't want to mess up, right? Like, oh, we don't know, that's so subjective and blah blah blah, right? But like, I put the specific pattern on there, and they're patterns I haven't purchased for myself, so it's kind of like, because my birthday's at the end of this month. I have my you know, I'm a January baby, and so I'm gonna wait until after my birthday to see if anyone purchases them before I purchase them for myself. So So I didn't get any patterns, but I did get a couple of stitchy related things. So the one thing that's specifically stitchy related is I got magnifiers. So if you may recall working on Sailor Moon Squad, I'm doing that 1/1 on 25 count. It's really hard for me to see. And so I was like, I put these, I kind of trolled around on the various Facebook groups, and so these are the ones that came highly recommended. They were pretty inexpensive on Amazon, and so my sister-in-law got these for me. I can't wait to try them out, and I'll share some pictures of me wearing them when I got them. So I did put them on really super briefly on Christmas Day, not Christmas Day, but the day we celebrated Christmas with them. And so I'm really looking forward to giving them a try and how much it will help with my stitching. Otherwise, everything else I got was Flosstube related, believe it or not. So I got a ring light, so even though it's super cloudy and rainy today, I don't have the benefit of the sunlight, so I normally film in my bedroom because I have a really great window behind me, and I get the benefit of the daylight sunlight to be able to create so that you get a true coloring, right? Well, it's rainy today, it's overcast, but I have a ring light. So I have a ring light that it's really pretty cool, although I think you can see all of my flaws in my face really well now, but that's all right. And then my husband did a lot of research, and he got me a new webcam and a big ball mic. So to be able to record. So right now I record on my phone, and I'm doing that today. And so, so he kind of did some research so that I could record off of my computer. For those of you who don't know, when you're doing things on your phone, you have to transfer everything. That's what I do. I transfer everything to my computer, and then I edit on my computer and upload from my computer. It's very difficult for me to do all of those steps on my phone by itself. And even though my camera on my phone is great and everything, this takes a long time. The transferring takes a long time because something happened in the update of the software where I cannot connect my phone to my computer, and it just transfers via USB. It has to upload over the Wi-Fi, and that just takes a long time. And then I have to re-download it into my computer, and so it just takes me a lot of time. So I wanted to figure out a way to record directly onto my computer, so that way I can do it that way. And so he did all the research, and the only reason why I'm not using it today to record everything today is because my computer has only a USB-C port. I do have a port hub to be able to do that, but the port hub only has like one of each kind of do, and so I am waiting for I need to purchase a converter. And and the only hesitation on purchasing anything is that I'm like, well, what do I really need? So we're kind of evaluating all of the different things that need to get attached to the computer, so that way we buy either the one new hub or just the one converter, so that way we're not like just buying the wrong things. Anyways, so those were my stitchy related hauls. So hopefully in 2 weeks we will have I'll be recording on my computer, and I'll let you know how that goes. So, what else is happening? Oh, other things related to haul. I did make some purchases, which is one of them. I have a physical pattern on its way, so I will show you when that arrives. But I did join the Stitching Book Club membership, and so from Sapphire. Y'all know Stitching Book Club, but Sapphire Crystal. That's so bad, I can't believe I can't remember. This is what happens when I don't write things down. Anyways, but I went ahead and joined the membership, which is for 3 of the 4, Sense and Sensibility, Little Women, and The Great Gatsby. I also purchased Pride and Prejudice, and I plan on working on project, because I'm like, well, I'm gonna do Sense and Sensibility. I should have Pride and Prejudice, right? So I don't know when I'm going to fit that into my rotation in this year, but anyway, so I went ahead and purchased those. Unpopular opinion, I don't love The Great Gatsby. I do not plan on rereading that when that rolls around. I will reread Sense and Sensibility, I will reread Little Women, but I will not reread Great Gatsby. But I suspect that the pattern is going to be awesome, right? The imagery of The Great Gatsby is awesome. Like I love the look of the Art Deco, the 20s. It's not my personal aesthetic, but I do think it's a really dynamic type of view. So I think that the pattern is going to be great. But I don't love the book. Unpopular opinion. That's all right. It's okay. We don't all have to like the same things. And so I purchased that, and I also, so to let y'all know, Fat Quarter Shop is doing a Stronger Together Sal and quilt. And 100% of the proceeds are going to benefit the United Negro Fund. And so I went ahead and purchased the pattern and the floss kit for the cross stitching, and so I'll be working on that in February with everyone else who's joining in on that. And I have put myself on the notify me for the quilt kits, because I am hoping to be also be able to do the quilt itself. The quilt pattern is a free download, so you can download the pattern itself if you want to stitch from fabric from your stash or anything along that lines. You can definitely do that. I'm going to go ahead and get the kit because there's a part of me that likes the idea of having the matching quilt and the matching cross stitch, and I'm toying with the idea of gifting it, and so, but I don't know who I would gift it to. So either way, I know I'm going to get it. And so if you're interested in joining along with me and everyone else to do that, then please do that. I'm hoping throughout this whole video I have done all of my videos up here, and I've talked slowly enough that they have been there that you can see them. All right, random things, but not really random. I'm going to talk a little bit about crocheting. So I brought this up for a couple of reasons. Rocio, Kokohama Stitchery, in her Instagram stories had shared this picture of this granny with a dog in a bag that was crocheted, and she asked if anyone crocheted, and I said, well, once upon a time I did. And then I was also watching Kira from Sea Dragon's Lair, and she was one of her goals for 2021 is to learn how to crochet, and she showed her little crochet monster. So, inspired by the two of you, I am going to show you my crocheting. So years ago, we're probably talking about a good decade, I learned how to crochet for one reason and one reason only. I really wanted to make the amigurumi, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. That's really what I wanted to do. So I did. I made my little granny squares. I got my hooks. I got my yarn. I did all of that. And I have made one piece of amigurumi. I can't find all my other crochet. And here he is. Now, you will see he's got a little bit of a floppy head. His head's falling off. I need to tie it. I did not. So while I do feel like I did a pretty good job with actually crocheting him in general, I did a really terrible job in attaching the various pieces to him. Look, he's losing a leg. So I don't know if I'm going to go, y'all know my craft room is a mess. So I'm hoping that I still have the yarn. I'm sure I do. And I'm going to work on trying to reattach everything. And so, and then I'll have this guy, and he's going to sit on my shelf as a reminder. Once upon a time, I crocheted. By the way, I did it at the same time I did try to learn how to knit. For whatever reason, my brain did not connect with knitting. I connected with crocheting really quickly, but the knitting, it never struck my fancy. Like, I never wanted to pick it up again. And I have a lot of friends who are knitters, and I see knitters on the Flosstubes, and I still, I'm not drawn to it. But I'm going to tell you, pulling my little guy, I might start crocheting some amigurumi. So, anyways, there you go. Thought I would go ahead and show that little fun finish from before. Plans going forward. I'm going to continue to work on Sing a Sampler. Because I am not able to do Seize the Day, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the 10 hours that I would have done on Seize the Day, continue that on Sing a Sampler, and then the next time Sing a Sampler gets called, when the second square for Sing a Sampler gets called, I'm going to work on Seize the Day at that point in time, and fill it in. And that's how, if I haven't caught up, that's when I'll catch up, and hopefully I will have the fabric for Seize the Day. By then, I'm going to continue working on Cinderella Wishes Upon a Dream until I hit my 1750. Once I hit my 1750 for my full coverage, I'm going to switch over to Sailor Moon Squad. I'm going to be cautiously optimistic that I'm going to get through Cinderella either today for the handful of hours I have available to stitch today, and then next weekend, and then go from there. I'm not very optimistic that I'll hit my goal for Sailor Moon Squad this month. That's okay. And then I'll go back to Funky Menagerie and to finish part 1 before part 2 gets released at the end of the month. And I think that's going to kind of... Oh, and my seasonal piece. So week 1 rotation was Whip Go. Worked on Sing a Song Sampler. Week 2 is Gift. I'm going to continue working on Sing a Sampler because that is also a gift and part of Whip Go. So I'll work on that. And so that's this coming week. And the week after that is going to be my rotation for seasonal. And my plan is to work on Winter Carriage Ride by Frosted Pumpkin. So those are my plans. We'll see if I stick to it. See you in 2 weeks. I'm on that. I'm not signing off quite yet. What's happening today? There's a winner for my giveaway, and I have not recorded that or picked the comment, so I'm going to do that at the very end of this video. So, I'm going to do a random comment picker from YouTube, and I will contact whoever it is. So I'm going to be preemptively saying congratulations to the winner. Contact me, and via Instagram direct messaging is probably the best way to do it, and we'll get you and so congratulations, and I hope that you enjoy making plants. And but I'll insert that video at the very end so that y'all can see me picking the person. And I think that's it. We're at about 40 minutes, and I hope everyone is doing well. Oh, I'm going to say something non-stitchy related. I think that everyone should take a few minutes, it's about a 9-minute video, to go see a video from Off the Grid Needle Arts, which is talking about having difficult conversations on Flosstube. I'll link her down below. I think that her sentiments are correct in terms of having conversations. I was a person who did post on Instagram that said that if you agreed with the actions that were done on Wednesday in the Capitol, that you should probably unfollow me. And because I believe what I believe. I don't necessarily want you to. I don't want to say bye to people who disagree with me. I think it's very important to have hard conversations with people. I'm going to share a story. There was a story involving some older family members who have since passed, so this is not something I share to belittle anybody or to besmirch anybody, but this was when I was a teenager. And now I'm mixed race. My father is a Caucasian, 6th generation, 7th generation, 6th generation. I'm the 7th generation. Texan, 10th generation American, right? And my mother is Asian, and through her, I'm actually the immigrant. I was born overseas, and we moved here, right? So I'm a 1st generation immigrant from that perspective. So I am mixed race, and and I don't feel like I have to tolerate anyone who holds the opinion that potentially harms my humanity. And if you think that it doesn't exist, then you need to have conversations with people where it does. Not me personally, not in a while anyways, I have had derogatory statements. I've had people say things in a way that's very violent and racist that put me at concern if my bodily safety was an issue. It has happened to me. And so this is the story I had when I was a teenager, which is that this older person just laid into Asian people, just laid into them in a family like Thanksgiving or something like that. And my dad is just listening to it, and he's arguing back and things like that, right? Because he doesn't agree with any of it. And one of these family members, and I'm just sitting on the couch. I'm like 15, 16, something like that. I'm just sitting on the couch listening to this. And she leans over. She taps me on my knee and says, "But not you, honey. You're different." And I was like, "Yeah, but you mean my mom, right? You're talking about my mom." She was saying that I was different because I was Americanized and I behaved the way that she thought I should behave as an American. Little did she know. Anyways, but it was like, and there was a couple of things behind it. One, it startled her when I said that you're talking about my mom when you say that, and I don't think she realized that that's what she was talking about, right? Because they were talking about immigrants. I was like, but you're talking about my mom. But the other thing was that what was a key aspect of it was the recognition that she was me also recognizing, and this didn't happen at that point in time, it's something I reflected on, was looking at the fact that she saw me differently from that because she knew me. It isn't because, like, I guarantee that if she had just met me off the street, she would have lumped me in with other Asian people and things along that lines, right? It's because she knew me and she knew that the stereotype that she held didn't apply to me. If you don't surround yourself with people who are different from you, who think differently from you, you don't see the commonalities that you have in common with them. And when you don't see the commonalities, you don't see their humanity. And I think that's why it's very important. I personally do not block people on any of my social media or anything along that lines if I disagree with them. I do it when they start to hold opinions that threaten my humanity and my safety, that of my family, and that's kind of how I sit on that. I don't think anybody, regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, any other category of being, should ever tolerate someone having opinions that threaten their humanity and safety. I just don't. But if you can walk through that, the only way people's opinions get changed is to be able to walk through those conversations. What you hold as an opinion threatens my humanity. What you hold as, this only works if they care about you. The way you change people's mind is to talk to people for whom you have personal relationships with, for whom they care about you, and you care about them. That's how we grow as a society, that's how we grow as people, one-on-one, individually, with each other. So I do think it's important to be able to have conversations about that on an individual basis. Also, all that being said, I think it's important that the creatives have those conversations. I find it bizarre, this idea that arts and the creativity, there's not a personal component to it that's not political or engaging in that way. Art has always been political, always. Even if you go back and think about portraits and things like that, there is politics in that. There is imagery, there's intention behind the choices of what is worn, what is painted there. And like, if you go back all the Renaissance art or the medieval art was all religious. It was religious for a purpose, for a reason. It's to teach, was to get the artwork out in such a way that people who could not, read, which is many of them, to learn the religion, to be inspired by it. Art always has a purpose behind it, even cross-stitching, even quilting, even knitting. Even all of that has it. So there is a space in the arts to talk about it. Quilts were used as part of the Underground Railroad. We know this for a fact. The quilts were designed in such a way with particular patterns, using flying geese, using particular blocks, to be able, it was hung out onto the lines, as for those who were part of the Underground Railroad, to give directions to those who were running for their freedom. Art did that. So don't engage in the conversations. Don't be nasty. Be respectful. And I'm talking about my side too, right? I'm talking about my side, your side, because we're all Americans, hopefully. Well, those of you who are Americans who are watching this, we're all human. We're all earth-bound, and have the conversations. And so I don't know if anyone's gonna dislike. I don't know. If you've been watching me this long, hopefully I'm not saying anything that's like bizarre or anything like that, but I'm hoping to elevate this idea that you cannot change things unless you are willing to have a conversation. However, that being said, if you believe in the overthrow of a rightful election, and everything I just said doesn't speak to you in any way, you can most definitely not listen. So, you have a right to do that. I hope you don't, but you do have a right to do that. Anyways, on that sober note, don't let it get you down. Our democracy will survive. It will survive. We have survived a civil war. We need to kind of finish that Cold War that has existed since then. Let's be real. We got to finish Reconstruction. We got to deal with that. But our democracy will survive the transition of this administration. Don't let that get you down. I know it's hard. It's hard to watch what's happening and not feel like things are threatened. It is, and it isn't. We will get through this. And, but we only can start to heal when we start having those conversations. And so, however you need to do to self-care, do so. For everyone who is not an American, sorry for that little rambling, but I also feel like this is things that happen in other countries, and I'm not here to tell you what's going on in your country, but the way we engage with each other as a society does matter. So, with all of that, stay tuned for the video on who won the giveaway, and I hope everyone is having a stitching good time wherever you are, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. All right, everyone, here we go. Second time's the charm, because I tried this originally. It did not work. So here's my URL and my first time doing this, so you're learning with me. Wait. All right. Oh, here we go. Y'all are learning at the same time with me. For everyone who's never done this before, you've now learned. Start now. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? It's Kira for Sea Dragon's Lair! Woohoo! I'm so excited. All right, Kira, I'm gonna send you a message. All right. Thanks, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day. Bye.